Welcome to the TV Lounge, a place where we get together to view and discuss lesser-known TV series. You know, there are plenty of places to discuss the latest hit shows, but we're here to tell you about some older programs you might not have heard of or watched. Some are quite good, and others, well, they're worthy of discussion and dissection. So have a seat here in the extra recliner and join us in the TV Lounge. Oh, hey, Andy, welcome to another episode of the TV Lounge podcast. You know, we're halfway through Crime Traveler. What have you thought of the series so far?
It's been fun to watch. You know, I've liked watching it so far. It's there have been a couple of episodes that I've really thought were cool, and I don't know, I'm definitely still kind of wondering where they're going to go from here, so it's been fun.
You know, I have mixed feelings about it. Half of me says, well, I'm glad there were only 8 of them because I don't know if you could have kept the momentum going. And the other half of me says, I'd like to see some of this stuff that's unresolved through the series kind of get taken care of. You know, maybe this is something that, like a lot of shows do, could be wrapped up with a 2-hour TV-type movie to bring the whole thing to some sort of finality. Like I'd like to see maybe Holly's father pulled out of his loop of infinity and figure out, you know, all the loose ends that the series kind of leaves dangling.
Right. I'm right there with you where in a lot of ways I'm kind of glad there are only 8 episodes. They've kind of explored a lot of the interesting things that they could explore, and I'm not sure how long they could kind of keep it going.
Yeah,
unless they do some of that bigger story stuff.
Right. A lot of shows, you know, they get to a point and then they just keep going for the sake of keeping going, and it isn't any good.
Right.
Not that I'm giving this thing 5 out of 5 stars overall, but, you know. Yeah. Well, let's move on to a few items of some TV news that I came across here in the last little while. This is a show that I watch, and I know you watch it too, so I'm kind of excited about this. Castle is getting a 3rd season.
Oh, that's good.
That might be old news by the time this podcast comes out, but I'm still pretty pumped about that. I really like Castle.
I love Castle.
And I do have some things from Sci-Fi. Seems like Sci-Fi has been busy lately trying to get new shows under development. There's a new series called Haven, and it's based on a novella by Stephen King. And the title of that novella is The Colorado Kid. This series kicks off this summer, and it follows FBI agent Audrey Parker, who arrives in the small town of Haven, Maine on a routine case, only to discover that this curious enclave has served as a long-time refuge for people who are afflicted with a remarkable range of supernatural abilities. Are you starting to hear kind of a same song, second verse theme here?
Yeah, a little
on this
bit.
one? Yeah. There's a local cop who soon becomes Audrey's partner, and bristling under the thumb of his father, the police chief, he has a quiet, controlled demeanor that often clashes with Audrey's feisty one. Again, more kind of, we've seen this before.
Same thing we've seen before.
Yeah. As events in the town begin to unfold at a surprising pace, his usual controlled sense of calm is put to the test. Among the citizens of this town is Duke Crocker, charming.
Wait, can I just say, I'd like to see a TV show where everything unfolded at the rate you just totally expected. No surprises.
Or the rate of normal things. You
right.
know, somebody goes along and says, well, we need to sit down and have this conversation. Excuse me, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be back in 5. So we sit there and watch them drinking coffee and chit-chatting about the weather until the other guy gets back, right?
Right.
Or, so, excuse me, waitress, could I get a, stack of pancakes here? Sure, that'll be 15 minutes. Okay, let's talk about whatever. And then 15 minutes later, the pancakes arrive.
Right.
Because usually on TV, when the good guys come in, they sit down at the cafe. Yeah, give me a short stack, and I'll have some ham and eggs, and blah, blah, blah. And she goes away for 30 seconds, and then plunk, there's the food.
And that's surprising.
Well, let's get back to the show Haven. We're talking about this character named Duke Crocker. He's described as a charming yet mysterious jack of all trades. Although he outwardly appears to be a free spirit, it becomes apparent that his demeanor may conceal a much darker agenda. Okay, so that's Haven. Now, this one actually, to me, sounds maybe a little more interesting, and I'm not sure how you pronounce this. It's Riese. I don't know if that's Reese or Rice. I'm going to say Reese.
I'd say Reese.
Okay. It's about a mysterious wanderer named Reese. The interesting thing about this is this has already run for 10 episodes as webisodes. And
Really?
the Sci-Fi Digital channel has acquired the rights to this 10-part series, and they're looking to develop more, just as they did with Sanctuary. Sanctuary began as webisodes and then became a regular series. Reese consists of 2 5-part episode seasons. Season 1 and 2 are both slated for a digital launch early this year. Now, let me describe a little bit about this. It's a fantasy adventure-based web series that chronicles a mysterious wanderer named Reese. A life on the run from a world with a dim future, she and her trusted wolf companion flee their dying land in search of freedom as they are hunted by assassins. As she tries to piece together her mysterious past, Reese will take on a life and death journey with the balance and the fate of the world lying in the palm of her hands. So the reason that I'm not, blasting this one so much as I've been there, done that, is it seems to have been successful on the web. So
Right.
maybe if they take it into regular TV and work with it a bit, they can turn it into a pretty good series.
That'll be interesting to see.
Now we're kind of going on another extreme here with Sci-Fi Channel. We're talking about a comedy. They're looking at putting together a live-action comedy entitled Saved by Zeros. You know who Michael Rosenbaum is? He's the guy who played Lex Luthor on Smallville.
Right, yes, yeah.
Okay. Well, Michael Rosenbaum and Jonathan Silverman are set to star in this project, which was created by Rosenbaum and based on his personal experiences. Now, as we go along here, you'll think of another movie immediately, and then I know you'll tell me what it is. It revolves around 2 friends, former actors on a science fiction show that has since developed a cult following. Well, these guys have hit rock bottom, and they must work together to get their lives back on track. Does this ring any bells so far? Galaxy Quest.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Quest, yeah.
Just, it's kind of like that. And they actually say,
okay.
they say it's kind of based on a Galaxy Quest type of situation. I don't know about this one myself. Apparently, the big brass at Sci-Fi has been drawn to this concept simply because of Rosenbaum's involvement. I think it still needs to be worked on a little bit before they actually push for full production. So we might see this come to Sci-Fi. I don't know.
Interesting.
And I don't know if I'd watch it or not. Maybe 1 or 2 episodes, but that's about it.
Well, didn't what's his name, Rosenbaum? He was on Smallville for a long time. He left, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
we don't know what. Now maybe he's just a down-and-out actor with a cult following. Okay, let's move away from the Sci-Fi Channel. Discovery Channel has announced that they're working to develop a new miniseries with Steven Spielberg. Spielberg's personally going to oversee the development of this one. It's called Future Earth. It aims to be an epic miniseries examining what life on Earth will be like in 25, 50, and 100 years. It's going to draw from a vast number of sources like leading futurists, scholars, great minds of today. They're going to dramatize and explore how various facets of our lives, including health and medicine, technology, environment, military, economy, and media, are going to evolve over the next century.
I really hope that they don't just take the normal view of everything with this. You know, you've got the shows like Life After People on the Discovery Channel, all these kind of post-apocalyptic things. But the truth is, the future could go so many different ways. It'll be interesting to see if they do anything besides global warming is going to kill us all, and, just that kind of normal thing that you always see in these futuristic post-apocalyptic things.
This doesn't sound like it's going to be post-apocalyptic. It sounds more like, how is life going to evolve for us? The only concern I have, while this could be extremely interesting, is let's not get really political with it. If we start pushing a political agenda of some sort, it's not going to appeal to a lot of people. I think if we take some of the technology we have and try and run it forward to see what could happen, that could be really interesting. But then, I think, too, of all those articles written back in the 50s and 60s entitled Life in 2000, what
Exactly.
the future holds for you, And it's like I hear somebody else say all the time, okay, it's 2010. Where's my flying car?
I know. Those have been due for years now, like flying cars, jetpacks. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. So maybe this will give us a little hope here. All right. Finally, we're moving over to ABC. They have released a lineup of summer programming. And one of the programs, which is starting on June 20th, is called The Gates. It's a private community where a family moves from Chicago only to discover that, of course, things are not what they seem.
Of course.
Here's the official description.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I know you are. Nestled inside a private mountain community are the Gates, the image of perpetual suburban bliss. Each street is lined with perfectly manicured homes protected by massive iron gates. But a dark and delicious secret is buried just below the surface of this picturesque neighborhood. Like most families that settle inside the Gates, the Monahans have left a complicated life in Chicago. Named the new police chief of the Gates, Nick Monahan is expecting a change of pace in this quiet suburb. Okay, right away, I have something here. How many shows do we have like this where people move in to this idyllic community and the father of the household is not named the chief of police? Welcome to our new community. You're now the head driver of the garbage truck. Right. Or your job is to stand around and watch the guys at the manholes. No, he's always
I want to see that show.
It's always the police chief, the newspaper editor, whatever. Anyway, let's continue with their.
What was there's an old movie and then they remade it. It's about like an idyllic community like that, but all the wives, what is it?
Stepford Wives.
Stepford Wives, yeah.
Yes.
That's what it reminded me of.
Anyway, to continue with this official description, Nick's wife Sarah and their children Charlie and Dana are embarking on a new adventure as well. Their house is to die for. But amidst the excitement, Sarah is still burdened with the revelation that her husband may not be the man she thought he was. Charlie and Dana also face some challenges of their own. Along with navigating the trials and tribulations of adolescence, they also face the daunting task of fitting into their new upscale school, where their new friends run in tight-knit packs. Now, there's something very different about this place, almost haunting. Unions will be complicated by friends with unnatural influence. Insatiable housewives will struggle with ravenous cravings. Boy, makes you wonder what that one's about, isn't it? Okay. Teenagers will be cursed with keeping their beastly instincts in check.
What does that mean?
So, I don't know, but it doesn't sound like Leave It to Beaver, does it? The Monahans are facing an uncertain fate. Nick is about to be tangled up in a mystery where he will begin to piece together the dark truth about their new home and the supernatural elements that lurk behind the shadows of the Gates.
I actually have to say I'm kind of intrigued, so I'll be curious to see that
I think I'll watch this and hope it just doesn't become cliche like so many things do. I think a lot of these shows, you could take a premise like this and you could really make it something cool, but on the other hand, it could just go downhill fast.
Yep.
Well, I tell you what, I think we've talked enough about coming TV shows. Why don't we go ahead and get started with this episode of Crime Traveler. It's number 5, and it's entitled Sins of the Father. This episode starts with Jeff Slade entering police headquarters. He walks past a yawning Detective Morris, grabs a cup of coffee, chats with Nikki, and then talks to Holly Turner about what is happening. Apparently, everyone has been called to the office for a meeting. Kate Grissom has the division head from Manchester in her office. Slade wonders if Grissom is transferring. Grissom and the division head enter the room where she explains what is going on.
All right, settle down, please. I want to introduce you all to Mr. Gareth Oldroyd, who'll be heading this investigation.
Hi.
Mr. Oldroyd is pursuing a man called Lenny Gebler. This is him here. We don't know him, but apparently he's making quite a name for himself north of Watford. He's a fence. Cars, money, drugs, he isn't fussy, and he's big.
Oldroyd goes on to explain that he's been tracking Gebler for the last 2 years, and that Gebler is in the area to pick up a consignment of stolen diamonds. As part of the team Oldroyd wants to put together, he has requested Holly to be on board to authenticate the diamonds. Holly tries to protest, saying she's working on a new piece of surveillance equipment, but Grisham insists. The exchange is set for 9 o'clock that night in a warehouse by the river. All through the briefing, Slade has been looking at Oldroyd rather strangely. At one point, Grisham calls Slade by name. This catches Oldroyd's attention. He has concerns about Slade, which he discusses with Grisham in her office.
Kate, can I just ask you about Slade?
Yes?
He's not Jack Slade's son, is he?
Yes.
I don't believe this. Look, I don't want him on the case. I've nothing against him personally, but, well, you must know Jack, his father.
Yes.
I was his partner.
I knew that too.
Well, you've got to understand that, you know. I mean, after what happened with the father, I can't get involved with the son.
Look, if I take Slade off this case, I'll be passing judgment on his father and on him, and I can't do that.
Out of all the places Gebler could have gone, why did he have to come here?
We go to the warehouse where the meeting is set to go down. The criminals inside are getting impatient for the arrival of Gebler. Outside, the police team is watching and waiting. Grisham and Oldroyd are in one vehicle, Slade and Holly in another. Holly notices that something is bothering Slade. He tells her he has never met Oldroyd, he knows the name. At this point, a boat docks along the river by the warehouse, and Gebler enters the building carrying a briefcase. The exchange between Gebler and the others begins to go down. Grisham, Oldroyd, Nicky, Morris, and a uniformed officer rush in. One of the thugs grabs Oldroyd and holds a gun to his head. We hear a shot being fired. Slade starts up his car, and he and Holly drive right through a window into the warehouse, saving Oldroyd and leading to the capture of Gebler and the thieves. Holly authenticates the diamonds while the thieves are placed under arrest. Oldroyd carefully wraps the diamonds in a cloth case. As Grisham is personally placing Gebler under arrest, Gebler lashes out at one of the other thieves, claiming that he has been set up. The cops break in and haul them off. As they leave, Oldroyd hands the cloth with the diamonds to Grisham. Driving back to the police station with Oldroyd, Grisham thinks they are being followed. Back at her office, Grisham places the diamonds in her safe. Oldroyd thanks Kate and says he will contact the insurance company in the morning.
Later at a bar, Holly quizzes Slade again about his odd behavior and about his knowledge of Oldroyd. But Slade is not very willing to talk about Oldroyd.
You're not your usual self. You're pleasant to Oldroyd. In fact, you've been pleasant to everyone. You even said good night to Morris.
Yeah, well...
So how do you know him?
Who, Oldroyd? Well, I don't know if it's the same man. He was my father's partner.
I thought your father retired from the police force.
No, he has.
So?
So nothing, Holly, just forget him.
Holly goes on to say that there is something about the whole case that's bothering her.
There's still something about this that doesn't make sense.
What's that?
The diamonds. Now, they were stolen in Preston. Why did they come all the way down here?
Yeah, that's been bothering me as well. Gebler was supposed to be buying them. But where was the money? Didn't have a penny on him.
American Express?
I don't think so.
Next, we see an ominous shot of someone holding up a syringe as Jeff Slade walks into his apartment. A masked man holding the syringe is waiting behind the door. He grabs Slade and injects him in the neck. Slade promptly slumps to the floor unconscious. The next morning at the police station, Holly is working with her new surveillance equipment. It's a listening device that can hear through steel or glass with a range of 60 feet. She holds it up to the glass window in her office and hears Kate Grisham talking with Oldroyd. Apparently, there has been a problem with the diamonds in Grisham's safe. Grisham questions Holly about the whereabouts of Slade, who has not come into the office. She also asks Holly if she and Slade were following her from the warehouse the night before. Now we cut to a park bench where an unconscious Jeff Slade is waking up. He stumbles to his feet and staggers off. Inside Slade's apartment, Oldroyd, Morris, and a couple of other officers are searching through the apartment. Morris checks the refrigerator and notices something odd about the ice cubes in the ice tray. Slade stumbles into the police station, and Grissom calls him into her office. Grissom and Oldroyd are there to confront him about the diamonds. Grissom has the cloth from the safe open to reveal it is not filled with diamonds, but beads. She shows Slade what Morris found in the ice tray. Diamonds.
Beads.
This time we don't need a science officer to confirm it.
You went drinking last night?
Yeah, I had a glass or two of wine, yeah. That's not why I'm like this, though. There was someone waiting for me in my flat when I got back last night. They knocked me out and drugged me, I think.
They were found in your flat?
In the icebox.
Well, it was whoever knocked me out. They must have put them there.
Jeff, tell me something. Do you know the combination of this safe?
36, 17, 25.
No.
See, nobody had those numbers.
Were you ever in the room when the safe was open?
I don't know the numbers to the safe, and I didn't take the diamonds. Chief, you know me better than that.
I don't know what to think.
What have we got here, you know? Like father, like son, or what?
Slade!
Leave my father out of this.
Don't do that. Don't make things worse for yourself.
Slade, there's something else. This is a printout from your bank account.
What, a copy of my overdraft?
No, you don't have an overdraft. £25,000 was paid in 2 days ago. Cash deposit.
Chief.
Come on, son, you got to tell us. Now, you took the diamonds, you kept 1 or 2 back for yourself. What have you done with the rest?
At this point, the fire alarm in the building sounds. In the confusion, Slade manages to escape. As he runs past Holly, he tells her he has been set up. As Morris and the others chase Slade down the hallway, a metal cart suddenly rolls into the hall, tripping Morris and the others. Slade runs past the holding cell area, where another cop tries to chase after him, but is somehow locked inside his caged work area. In the garage, Slade finds a car idling with its door wide open. He jumps in and drives away. It turns out that the car is Detective Morris's car. Back in the office, Holly Turner is seen leaving. Morris notices this and informs Oldroyd that Slade and Turner are pretty close. Oldroyd instructs Morris to head over to Holly's place to check it out. Holly has indeed returned to her apartment where Slade is waiting. He explains what is going on. He wants to get her permission to use the time machine.
I was worried she wasn't going to make it.
I couldn't just leave with Grisham and everyone else, so I came as soon as I could.
You know what's been going on, don't
Yes.
you? I've been set up. There was someone waiting for me in my flat last night. They drugged me and put some needle in my neck. They put the diamonds in the fridge. They put £25,000 in my bank account. I've got to travel back. I've got to find out how it was done. What, you mean you're going to let me use the machine and not have to go down on my knees and beg for it?
It's all yours.
Suddenly, Morris and some uniformed officers arrive. Holly and Slade rush into the apartment building where Holly asks Danny to stall the cops. In her apartment, they fire up the time machine. Outside the building, Morris, Oldroyd, and a couple of cops are pounding on the door. Danny takes the mop bucket full of soapy water and pours it all over the hallway floor. Then he opens the door and lets the cops in. Running down the hall, Morris slips on the wet surface, and the others have to slow down to get around him. It's just enough time for Holly and Slade to travel back in time. They go back to 30 minutes before the incident at the warehouse.
Slade and Holly go to the warehouse. From their vantage point, they watch as their other selves crash the car into the warehouse. They watch Grissom leave the building with the bag of diamonds. Their plan is to follow Grissom and keep an eye on the diamonds. Holly suggests they return to Slade's apartment and see who breaks in and drugs him. But Slade is more interested in seeing who breaks into Grissom's office and steals the diamonds. By 1:50 a.m., they are camped out in Grissom's office waiting for someone to try to steal the diamonds. Slade decides to check the safe. He remembers the combination from Grissom telling him the next morning. Slade removes the bag from the safe and opens it to discover it is already just a bag of beads. They decide to go back to Slade's apartment since he's already been drugged and dumped at the park. Once there, Holly questions Slade about his father.
Now, I don't know what he's got to do with all this, but it's something, because every time I mention his name, you get all evasive. Stop it, you're doing it again. Now, where is he? What happened to him?
Okay. He's in prison.
What?
I haven't seen him or spoken to him for 5 years. It was his decision. He was sent down for 9. Could be at any time now. He just doesn't want to see me till then.
What happened?
It was a bank raid. £200,000. That was a lot of money then. He was in charge of the case with Oldroyd. That's how Oldroyd got his promotion. Only the trouble was half the money went missing.
And your father got the blame?
Yeah. He said he was innocent, but...
Go on.
Well, there's nothing more to say. I wasn't at the trial. I wasn't even in the country. I had extended leave. It was in all the papers, though.
But you don't read the papers?
No, that's when I stopped. He was a good policeman for 30 years. He got shot once. He was commended 4 times. I don't know. Maybe he did make a stupid mistake, but...
Have you never thought that maybe he was innocent?
Of course I have. I've always thought that. But it's been 5 years now. Sometimes it's just easier not to think about it, that's all.
Where is he now?
Oh, they've moved him nearer here. He never let me know, but I found out.
So what happened to him is exactly what's happening to you?
History repeating itself.
No, not history. Whoever's behind all this. Tomorrow we go to see him.
The next day, Slade and Holly go to the prison to visit his father. They learn about the crime that got his father sent to prison, and they learn that some of the same people were involved then as now.
So what have they got on you?
It's mostly circumstantial, but someone put £25,000 in his account, and they found some diamonds in his flat.
Anything else?
Do they need anything else?
You're right.
Is that what happened to you, Dad? Is that how they set you up?
I was cheaper. £2,000 stashed under the floorboards. Anyone could have put it there.
Your partner was a man called Oldroyd?
Gareth Oldroyd. He was a good mate. At least until all this happened. Never heard from him since.
So what about the money then? How did you get it in the first place?
It was a bank raid, Hill Street. Swiss International Bank. Professional job. We'd been after the gang for months. They were meeting a fence who was going to launder it for them. He came down from up north, and we took him.
Not Lenny Gebler.
Don't tell me you know him too.
Holly drives Slade back to the station where he sneaks in to talk with Gebler. He thinks Gebler knows where the diamonds are.
You've come here to insult me.
I've come here to ask you where they are.
You tell me.
Let's try this. Why did you set up the meeting in London? Why not in Preston or somewhere up north?
I like London. Give me a chance to do some shopping.
Where are the diamonds? I know they're not in the safe. You were never going to buy them. You didn't even have the money.
Of course I didn't have the money. What, do you think I was going to walk in there with £1 million in my back pocket? You've got nothing on me, Slade. Nothing. No one has. And if you haven't got the diamonds, you can't keep me. I'll be out of here by lunch, you'll see.
In the parking garage, Holly checks vehicles until she finds one that is unlocked with the keys inside. It's Morris's car. She starts the engine and leaves the door open. Of course, this is the car Slade will get away in. From around a corner, Slade watches as Grisham and Oldroyd question him in Grisham's office about the diamonds. He sees a fire alarm box and breaks the glass, setting off the alarm that allows his other self to escape. He is also the person who pushes the cart into the hallway for Morris to trip over. Back at the prison, Slade's father is seen entering the warden's office. He is requesting permission to make a phone call. He says his son is in trouble and he has worked it out. The warden declines his request, stating that phone calls are only allowed at specific times. Holly then meets up with Slade at a cafe where he has her make a phone call. He has her call Grisham. He tells Holly that Gebler said he would be out by lunchtime and they are going to help him get out of jail. We don't hear the conversation between Holly and Grisham, but it's obvious that Grisham doesn't know it's Holly calling.
The next scene is Grisham going to see Gebler in his holding cell. She tells him she's there to let him go, and Gebler tells Grisham something rather puzzling about Slade.
I've decided to let you go, Mr. Gebler.
What? Just like that?
There's been a development.
Lost the diamonds, have you? Not that there ever were any diamonds, as far as I'm concerned.
What?
One of your boys told me.
Who was that?
I think he said his name was Slade.
When was he here?
About an hour ago. About 11.
11 o'clock? You're lying.
Why should I lie? He was here.
So he knew the diamonds had gone?
Of course he knew.
Without the diamonds, we can't formally charge you, Mr. Gebler, but we do know where to find you. And when we do find the diamonds, we'll be back.
Gebler is escorted to the garage and put into a taxi. Slade and Holly are also in the garage, and they follow Gebler's taxi. Holly begins to worry because they only have 1 hour left to return to the time machine. Outside the prison, we see a large laundry truck being let out the gates. Hiding under the vehicle is Jack's father. He's escaping from prison. Holly and Slade have followed Gebler to a fancy hotel. They show their badges to the desk clerk and are told that Gebler is staying in a penthouse room on the top floor. Next, we see Slade climbing out the window of another room and making his way to the outside of the building to the roof. When he is above Gebler's room, he attaches Holly's listening device to the skylight and hears Gebler talking on the phone below. Gebler is scheduling a meeting back at the warehouse for 7 o'clock that evening. With that information, Slade and Holly race back to her apartment. They get back to the machine with only seconds to spare.
Back in the present, Oldroyd, Morris, and the officers are knocking on Holly's door. Slade comes out and immediately surrenders. Morris cuffs him and they go back to the police station where he is questioned by Oldroyd and Grisham. And it's pretty obvious that Slade is setting something up, and Oldroyd is not comfortable with the situation.
Just tell us what you've done with the diamonds. I mean, in the long run, it could stand in your favour.
Just for the record, Slade hasn't admitted he took the diamonds.
I took them, Chief.
What?
I'm sorry. It was stupid. Just like my father all those years ago. Maybe it's in the genes.
You admitting you took them?
Well, why are you so surprised? I thought you knew all along.
Well, where are they?
If I tell you, you'll take it into account.
Yes?
I don't know where they are, but I know where they're going to be. I can take you to them.
Where?
7 o'clock tonight. I'm supposed to be meeting someone.
Who?
If you take me there, I'll show you.
I'm sorry, I don't like this. I think you're just playing games with us, some sort of a trick. No.
Where, Slade? Where is this meeting of yours?
Back at the warehouse, where it all started.
All right. We'll take you there.
Kate, look, I know you know him a lot better than I do, but I still don't like this. Well, if you want to go, you go, but I'm staying here.
No, I'd prefer it if you came, Gareth. You started this. I think you should be there at the end.
All right, you say so.
I do.
Later, we see Slade, Holly, Morris, Oldroyd, and Grisham waiting outside the warehouse. Oldroyd insists it's a waste of time and that Slade's contact won't show. Back in the parking garage, young Nicky is confronted by Jack Slade, who demands that Nicky take him to where Jeff is at the warehouse. Outside the warehouse, a car drives up and parks a short distance from where Slade and the others are waiting in the shadows. They see Gebler getting out of the other car. Slade urges Oldroyd to go arrest Gebler.
Well, what are you waiting for, Oldroyd? Why don't you arrest him?
No, I can't do that. I only just released him.
Has he got the diamonds?
He knows where they are.
I'll arrest him.
No. No. It was Oldroyd's investigation. It's his arrest.
Your move, Gareth.
Oldroyd reluctantly steps from the shadows and walks toward Gebler. When Gebler sees Oldroyd, he begins congratulating him. Oldroyd, on the other hand, is trying to tell Gebler to be quiet. Then the two men begin to struggle as Grisham and the others watch and listen.
We did it! Shut up! What are you talking about? It worked like a dream! Shut up! I got the money! Shut up, we're being watched! What are you talking about, huh? Have you got the diamonds?
Give me the case.
What are you doing?
Give me the case, Lenny!
Seen enough?
Give it to me!
I think you made your point.
At the same time, Jack Slade arrives at the warehouse. He tells Nicky to get out of the car, and he slides behind the wheel. Jeff Slade goes over to confront Gebler and Oldroyd. Oldroyd tries to buy his escape from Slade. When Slade refuses, Oldroyd pulls a gun and gets into Gebler's car. As he attempts to drive away, Jack Slade takes Nicky's car and causes Oldroyd to wreck. Back in Grisham's office, Jeff explains the whole thing.
It had to be Gebler and Oldroyd working together. There was only one time they could make the switch. It was when we were all there at the warehouse.
It was when Gebler attacked one of the gang. He shouted he'd been set up.
Classic misdirection. For just a few seconds, everyone was looking at Gebler. Oldroyd was holding the diamonds. Now, it was important that we knew they were real diamonds. That's why he insisted on Holly being there. Once she'd authenticated them, he wrapped them up in that blue velvet pouch.
With an identical pouch full of plastic beads sitting in his pocket.
Simple as that.
It's the cold-bloodedness of it I can't believe. Choosing you, knocking you out, setting you up when they've done exactly the same thing.
With my father? Yeah, I suppose that's why he chose me. History repeating itself. That's what he wanted everyone to think.
Later that evening at Holly's apartment, she and both Jeff and Jack Slade are having dinner. And Jack has some questions and an interesting observation.
Jeff, something's been bothering me.
Yeah?
About this Oldroyd business. You came to see me at 9 o'clock in the morning in jail, right?
Yeah.
Well, as I understand it, at 9 o'clock in the morning, you were lying unconscious in some park after Oldroyd had knocked you out.
He wasn't really knocked out.
No.
We just pretended.
In order to trap Oldroyd.
Yeah.
We'd always suspected him after what happened to you.
And we followed him to his hotel and saw he had the diamonds, so...
And the only reason we came to you was because we wanted to check that that was the way he worked. That it really was him.
Fine. That's what I thought. Holly Turner. You're not related to Frederick Turner by any chance, are you?
He's my father.
Really? Well, that's interesting. Because, you see, I found this book in the prison library by him. It's all about time travel.
Time travel?
That must have been the fiction section, right, Dad?
I don't know. I never read it. I might, though.
And that ends Crime Traveler Episode 5, Sins of the Father.
Next time on Crime Traveler, Death Minister. Grisham becomes suspicious of Slade's success rate in solving crimes. Turner warns Slade that they have been using the machine too much, but when a member of Parliament is killed, they can't resist.
Well, that was a rather interesting episode of Crime Traveler. Wouldn't you say so, Andy?
Yeah, interesting.
Anything you noticed right off the bat? Anything that jumped out at you?
You know, this was another episode that I kind of didn't get really in. Well, I guess I got into it okay, but I was a little bored at times just because I felt it like parts of it were kind of predictable.
And other parts kind of dragged a little bit.
Yeah. The pacing was a little slow at times. It took forever. Holly kept asking Slade, "Oh, how do you know Oldroyd? What about your father? Tell me about your father." And they just kind of dragged that on forever before he finally told her what was up. And
yeah, like he's been real secretive all the way up to this episode 5 to tell her anything about his past.
Right.
Well, one of the things that I noticed right away, even on the first viewing of this, was the impression I got was Oldroyd had switched the diamonds for the beads back in the warehouse before he even gives the bag to Grissom to take back and put in her safe. I thought, he's got the diamonds and he's pulled a fast one.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's also another reason why I was kind of wanting the pace to pick up a little bit, because I just thought it was so obvious that he was the one who had heisted the diamonds.
And you got to wonder, why didn't Grissom open up the diamonds just before she put them in the safe to make sure that the diamonds were okay? Because, if she'd opened them up, she would say, "Ooh, look, beads, and I've had this in my, I've been holding on to these ever since the warehouse when Oldroyd gave them to me. So that means..."
Exactly. And I, I didn't really think about that until we were going through the recap, but I was like, why didn't if I was holding like millions of dollars worth of diamonds, I wouldn't be able to resist opening them up and just taking a peek at them, before putting them in the safe.
That's right. Ooh, shiny.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The other thing that stood out to me, one of the other things, was later, when Grissom and Oldroyd are questioning Slade about the theft, why in the world does Grissom recite the combination to her safe out loud? I mean, if that wasn't one of those things of telegraphing something to come later, it's just so, you knew that information had to come up, because you're thinking, why are you saying this in front of Slade and Oldroyd?
I know, moments like that drive me crazy in TV shows, because as soon as it happens, I can just, all of a sudden I'm picturing the writers sitting down writing the episode, and they're thinking, how do we get Slade to have the combination? I know, we'll just have her say it out loud. And it just kind of takes you out of the story.
It really did. It broke my... what do they call it? It broke...
suspension of disbelief.
Right. It really did that to me when she starts reciting this combination to the safe.
Yeah.
I have one other question, and then I'll let you finish up with, any thoughts you have, and that is, maybe it's just a TV thing, but if I'm going to get a shot, I don't want it in my neck. Why is it always a shot to the neck in all the TV shows? Is that because it happens faster? They can inject something right into the jugular?
Wait. What do you mean?
When Slade enters his apartment and the masked man is standing there and he gives him the injection in the neck, it seems like every TV show, it's always a syringe to the neck. Now, I would think some things, if you gave somebody a shot to the neck, it could kill them. There are some things that you have to give a shot in the muscle, or you have to give a shot in where more body fat is. You don't go right into the neck with everything.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that, but...
It's not somewhere where I want to get a shot.
No.
Well, did you have any other thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I guess I had a few other thoughts. One, just kind of thinking that a couple decisions of the characters were not so smart. For example, when they accuse him of being involved with stealing the diamonds, he runs away. It just sort of made him look more guilty. And then the same thing with his dad breaking out of prison, hiding under the truck. I'm just like, oh, that is so stupid. You're just going to get yourself in more trouble. Here you are, innocent, and a chance to maybe prove it, and then you're going to break out of prison. And then at the end of the episode, there's no sort of repercussions for that. He just kind of is out of prison, and that's that.
We can assume that because of the way the episode turned out, that Jack got some sort of a full pardon and everything was okay. But even on that hand, if he did get a pardon and they realized he was innocent, wouldn't there be some sort of, oh my gosh, we're sorry, here, let us make it up to you, we caught the real bad guy?
Yeah, exactly. That prison scene when they go and visit Jack, is that just how prisons are over there as opposed to the prisons in the U.S.? I just thought it was weird he was sitting there in his suit and tie. Like, is that what prisoners get to wear? Is a suit and tie?
I never thought about that.
Like, where's his jumpsuit and number?
But, now, where's his black and white striped outfit or his,
Right, he just looked like one of the other cops sitting there.
I don't know. I can't speak for how prisoners, dress or are treated over in Great Britain. I know that here, where I live, and I don't know if you've ever seen prisoners where you live, but the guys in our county jail are out there in black and white stripes. So if somebody's out raking leaves and they decide to make a run for it, you're going, wonder why the guy wearing the black and white stripes is running. Maybe I better call somebody.
Yeah.
But if you see
that's smart. As opposed, if I saw a guy running down the street in a suit and tie, I'm not going to think, oh, there's a prisoner.
No. You're going to think he's late for an appointment, and maybe I'll just get out of the way.
Exactly.
But overall, what did you think of the episode?
I got more interested, and I liked it at the end. I actually really liked the ending. I just was kind of bored during the whole, maybe 3/4 of it. But I really liked that little end dinner scene where Slade and Holly and his father there are eating, and Jack brings up the, oh, is your father? Oh, I knew your father. I saw he had written a book about time travel, and they're like, he says, I never read it. I might, though. And I just thought that was like such a cool line to end the episode with.
Yes, and in a lot of ways, I think if the series had continued, that would have set us up for something down the road.
Right.
Well, for me, I didn't mind the episode. I think you were right. The pacing throughout, a lot of it was kind of slow. It was kind of predictable, and some of it you're sitting there going, what the heck? And a lot of it was awfully coincidental.
Right.
But now we're 5 episodes in. We have 6, 7, and 8. We'll only have 3 left to go, and then we'll be done with Crime Traveler, and we can take up something else. Thanks for joining us in the TV Lounge. We'd love to hear your thoughts and comments as well. You can email us, the TVLoungePodcast@gmail.com, or visit the website and leave a comment. We're at tvloungepodcast.blogspot.com. See you next time here in the TV Lounge.